Thank you for listening to the Content Magazine podcast, Conversations with Silicon Valley's Creatives. I'm Daniel Garcia, your host and the cultivator of Content Magazine, published by SV Creates.
Hello, welcome to the Content Magazine podcast. I'm Daniel Garcia, the cultivator of Content Magazine, and we are here today in our sofa studio with Rose Sellery. She is a artist, you're a sculpturist. You do sculpture, you do conceptual garment design. You actually help with the MK Contemporary Gallery.
I'm a partner at MK Contemporary Art on Front Street in Santa Cruz.
Yeah. So and then also you were a co-founder of Pivot, the Art of Fashion with Tina Brown, and that's so I know you in kind of two capacities, and so I'm excited to talk to you because even though we've kind of spent some time together, we did that fashion shoot back in the day.
Oh yeah, we did a fashion shoot at the California Theater.
Yeah.
I just walked past
that
there
was cool.
and was remembering that.
Yeah, well, we did the California Theater. Yeah, we also did at that hotel.
The Armory.
The Armory, we did
And what, it was a Hilton, one of the Hiltons or something. We did a fashion shoot there.
So I definitely know you, but I kind of only know you with Pivot Art of Fashion and then also from your artwork, which I'll have to tell you, a number of years ago, I was at the ICA, and I only knew you at that time just with Pivot. And then I saw this thing and it said Rose Sellery. I'm like, oh, interesting. And I was like, is that the same Rose? And I looked it up. And your artwork, like, because you do photo montage, and like, you have that, I remember, I wrote it down because it's I can't remember, the Party Girl. And that kind of series, like, really incredible. So you do the photo montage that's kind of dealing with memories and...
Usually there's some twist to it, some double entendre that's going to make you stop and cringe or smile or think about something. So I try to engage people with imagery and storytelling. That they evoke some kind of story, and whether it's the story you create in your own mind or the story that I've created,
to tell
people are all going to see it differently.
So I was interested because I was looking at kind of like your statement, and you're saying that the spoken word kind of inspires you, which is interesting because I haven't thought of that necessarily as like an inspiration. So tell me a little bit about how that shapes your artwork.
Well, often, I will have heard something that kind of sticks in my head, and maybe at 3 a.m. when I'm lying awake, I might think about that story that someone told when they were walking down the street and some construction workers leaned down and said, "Hey, baby, you're ripe." And thinking about what it is to be a woman and to be viewed as ripe.
Right.
And so that spun off in a 3-dimensional sculptural piece that I did. There was a full-size body, female figure, very voluptuous, coming out of a plant form, but then and it was made of wire and it was red so you could see through it. But on the interior were pearls that were ovaries and a uterus. So this is like the fruit and the seed, and being ripe as a woman.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You use a lot of different materials. I mean, I've seen stuff that you made out of bone. You've done like plastics, metals, and then like even like the and a lot of pearls, and the shoes that you make. So you're making a lot of statements kind of about the fashion world in a way, or the perspective of what beauty is, right?
Yeah, and I do use fashion a lot as a way to primarily portray women, though I haven't left men out entirely. But generally I'm making statements about women and our lives and how we're viewed in the world and the stereotypes and the things we're still struggling with as women, like wage differences. We're still dealing with those things. Perceived notions of how women are supposed to be. We're still trying to break through those barriers. And living in California, we're a little bit closer to that
Yeah.
glass ceiling, but not everywhere is.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So then, what is your history of being involved in art? How did you, in the different mediums that you use? So, what was your upbringing? Where'd you grow up, actually? Did you grow up around here, or you ended up?
I grew up in Venice, California.
Okay.
Back when, Venice is very shishi right now, but back then it was really a ghetto. And my parents were artists. They graduated from UCLA and then UCSC, and they started a ceramic studio in Venice because it was cheap. And so we lived in Venice. Right across the alley from us where we played was a whorehouse. And at midday, all the men would line up going around the block, and my mother would bring us inside so we weren't victims during that period.
Yeah, totally.
And but the ceramics was a big influence on me because my parents, they didn't buy us coloring books, they didn't buy us games. We didn't get things like that, but we always had crayons, paper, and clay.
Yeah, cool.
So clay was a staple, and working in clay was, the hands-on three-dimensional aspect was always there. And then later, as I grew up, I worked in their factory, which, eventually they had a factory in downtown LA, right across from the Oscar Mayer Wiener factory.
What was the factory? Was it for ceramics factory?
It was for a ceramics factory that made architectural size ceramics, so for offices and shopping malls and banks and the Prince of Saudi Arabia. And,
sure. Oh, wow. Interesting.
so it was a great time as a young person to be managing a ceramics factory on acres of land and with employees, and I managed production. And then stepped away from ceramics because it had been part of my whole life.
Sure.
And then married, raised a daughter, worked with my husband who was a woodworker, so I learned wood.
Yeah.
And when she grew up, I was wondering, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Studied jewelry, which I loved for a long time. But it was so isolating and meticulous and tiny, and you work in this small space, bent over, with your nose next to what you're doing. And I loved that, but I missed the connection and the storytelling. So as I started telling stories with jewelry, my pieces grew bigger and became more unwearable. And eventually morphed into doing sculpture.
Yeah, totally.
So I do like all these different things. And depending on the story and how I can turn that into something I can share, I'm doing photo montage, or I'm creating sculptures, or the crazy wearable garments that you remember.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I definitely remember the Rags to Riches dress is so beautiful. Yeah, that's incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, so is there anything you don't do? I mean, you must be able to weld, solder, definitely woodworking. So you probably like saws, and then jewelry. Of course, you're using small little things, and then your ceramics, because you've done figures too, like
I've done
little
figures
humans.
too. Yeah.
So much stuff.
And I like to experiment, and because I'm trying to bring these concepts or stories to life, it can morph the direction I go in. So sometimes I'm learning a whole new way of creating something that I hadn't done before.
Yeah. Is there a particular medium or discipline or craft that you're kind of thinking about even now? Like, I would like to try experiment with that. Is there anything like that you got? I mean, you're probably like all the time, right? But is there anything that 3D printing or laser cutting or anything like that? Or?
I'm not that drawn to the technological side because I do enjoy the hands-on work. Even when I'm doing photo montage, I'm drawing within Photoshop in the computer. I'm not using AI. I'm drawing. I'm working in layers. I'm painting. within the computer with the tools that it has. And I like the hands-on side of it. And sometimes I'm going, oh, this is going to take me forever. Why am I doing this? I'm sticking pins in something, and it's never ending. And eventually it does end, but you know, I like that side of it.
Yeah, cool.
And I'm working on a number of pieces that have hair involved in them.
Oh, yeah.
So hair shirts, kind of off that idea of, you know, the Mormon hair shirts that are kind of punishment-like. You know, self-flagellation. Yeah. So I'm developing a series around that.
Yeah, I would say like your shoes seem to have that kind of like, almost like wearing these are painful type of. if I had to pick, right? I mean, is that kind of like, and is that like kind of the message that you're? I mean, that is kind of a message like fashion, the distortion and the abuse that we do for these conceived ideas of what beauty is. Is that some of the story that you like to tell or you're drawn to?
There is some of that. You know, I did a pair of shoes called Fatal Attraction, and that comes, you know, there was a movie called Fatal Attraction, but just the term Fatal Attraction. And if you're ever with women often, when they're walking down the street and you pass a shoe store, put on the brakes and look in the window. There's shoes. So that's a humorous side of like when you're with a bunch of women and they all break in front of a shoe store. Ooh.
Yeah, what is that kind of like? I mean, I wonder if actually I find myself looking at shoes and buying more shoes than I should. I think,
more than you should.
I think more than I should. Yeah, I mean, you know how many different versions of Adidas Sambas I have? Actually, I saw somebody the other day in our other office space, and I'm in the restroom. Somebody comes up to me, are you Daniel Garcia? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I knew you back, and he's like, 20 years ago, and I thought that was you because of the Sambas. You always wear Sambas. I'm like, okay. Yeah. But yeah, what do you think it is, the cultural obsession? I mean, because there's even basketball players and that there's like a whole kind of like shoe, and then the women in shoe. What do you think that is? What's the?
I think it's a self-identification, a way we can, say, you've got the Sambas, and other women wear stiletto heels, and someone else might, wear loafers. Right. Not my favorite shoe.
Yeah, Birkenstocks
or Birkenstocks.
Uggs. So it's kind of a way, our Florsheim. You might be a way that you're kind of like, it's almost like a business card for yourself in a way.
It is, and you may dress conservatively, but look at my shoes.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I know I'm just like this up here, but check out my shoes.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. I remember because I worked in a couple churches, and a couple of the ladies there that worked with like the little kids, they were very conservative dressed and all this kind of stuff, kind of like old school, but they always had real sparkly shoes and stuff.
Sparkly shoes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So then for you, so is there anything right now, a discipline that you're kind of like thinking of exploring that you haven't done that's kind of attracting you, any kind of art form?
Occasionally I think about sound because I find sound very intriguing. And I have considered some ideas that are floating around in my mind that would incorporate sound with art installations.
Cool.
And generally, I think in terms of like women's dresses as part of an art installation, and maybe all the voices of different women addressing a particular subject. So that's
cool.
That's something that my 3 a.m. brain wakes up and starts working on. It's like, shut up and go to sleep.
Oh, that's cool. Would you think like you would actually interview different women and then put that in? Yeah, that's a really great idea, project.
And then have all those voices intermingled, because we walk around and we have these things going on in our head, even as we're saying, hi, Daniel, how are you?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, my brother, what am I going to do about my brother? These things that are going on within us.
Yeah.
And So I haven't quite decided on the direction, the specifics of what that might be. But, I'm often thinking about women.
Yeah.
Because as a woman and female perspectives, whether you're queer or straight, we have these unique perspectives that I'm more familiar with than I am with a man's brain.
Sure. Yeah. I was just thinking like how powerful it could be even to do a fashion show, and then because they always have like the cool music and stuff like that, but then you had like the voices playing, like that could be really wow. That could be cool.
I have one I've been working on, and that's kind of another side project, but it is like a fashion show, performance, dance, poetry, but if I were a man. So the way we as women would be in the world differently if we were men.
Yeah.
And how we might approach the world, how we might approach our families.
Yeah.
If we were men,
Yeah.
what would that look like?
Huh. For you, have you kind of like for yourself thought about that, like how you would be different if you were a man?
Yeah.
Well, and can you tell me about it? Well, I'm kind of curious.
Well, I know this about myself, is that I'm a people pleaser. Oh, you didn't like that? Let me change it for you.
Yeah,
You don't.
okay.
You're not happy with that? I'll fix it.
Okay.
And I think if I were a man, I'd go, oh, well, that's interesting. You don't like that, and I'd
Tough
move
luck.
on.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
that's what I envision in my own
Totally.
mind. If I were male, I would be a little bit maybe secure in myself, where I don't have to fix something for people and make it right for people and make them be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know that that's a truism for men, but that's, in my mind,
Yeah.
I would be a little bit more firm and a little bit less, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that, because that is kind of a common theme and perspective. You know what I mean? I think that, and it's obviously there's a cultural kind of like reinforcement that it's okay for a guy to be like, oh no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe because of the testosterone levels and the way that we interact with each other, maybe.
And
You know what I mean?
it's more
Versus
accepted.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
a woman does that, it's what a bitch.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
We're perceived differently
Yeah.
if we're not accommodating.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Hopefully we can get to a point where like kindness just rules, no matter what your
Kindness should-
gender.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I think you have that already.
I don't know. I'm a pretty much jerky guy.
Nah, you're not.
No, I am. So okay, cool. So then you were working at. So where did you go then? Working in your parents' incredibly cool ceramics factory, and you said, you know what? I'm out of here. I gotta spread my own wings and fly. What was it and then you went off to New York, and where did you go from there? Was it? And
I wish it were more romantic like that, or more definitive. But I got involved with a man who later became my husband, and he was panicked that LA was going to have an earthquake and we would be devastated and trapped in LA, and it was going to be bad. We
sure.
need to get out. And so we'd been living together about a year, and he says, let's move to Santa Cruz. And so we moved to Santa Cruz. I'd left all that, moved to Santa Cruz where I didn't know a soul. And 2 weeks later, we had the '89 earthquake, which
how ironic. Right? How incredible, because the epicenter was the Peralta,
it was Loma Prieta.
Loma Prieta, that's right. And then LA, you came from LA to avoid
the earthquake, and got
goodness.
here just in time for the '89 earthquake, which was really, it was devastating in so many ways. We lost human lives.
Yeah.
We lost, old, beautiful buildings that were iconic and as part of Santa Cruz. And we were totally isolated, like an island.
Yeah.
You couldn't go over the hill, you couldn't make phone calls, people didn't know if you were alive or dead.
Yeah.
And we were having aftershock after aftershock, and they kept saying,
fear,
we don't know if this is going to be, these are just precursors to the big one, and the big one's coming.
Yeah.
And you'd be in a supermarket, and all these people would just freeze when an aftershock came, and they'd all do this united inhalation of breath.
Yeah.
And wait. And then everyone would talk to each other. It was the most amazing thing.
Yeah.
We were communicating. Where were you when
Yeah.
the earthquake happened? And we got so
That
we could.
common experience.
Yeah, and we could tell how big. Oh, that was a 4.2.
Yeah.
I mean, right down to it. Everybody was like, oh,
4.2. Yeah.
Yeah. But the way it brought the community together was a remarkable thing, and people helping one another,
Yeah.
people checking on one another, people talking to strangers in the store.
Yeah.
We don't see that anymore.
Yeah. Would you? And then, how long had you been there in Santa Cruz when that happened? Like, was it
2
like,
weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks. So you
Yeah.
had no community.
No community.
No connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
we had moved into a house, and the next door neighbors came out, and we were outside right after the earthquake. And that was the only time I ever spoke to them in 20 years, because they would drive into their garage and the
yeah.
doors would close.
Yeah.
And we never had
So
any other
after-
interaction for 20 years.
Yeah. Wow. So then that got you to Santa Cruz, and you never left then. Like you came to
Yeah.
Santa, and then that became your home.
It became home, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay. So then when did you start to do your own art practice then in this trajectory of?
Well, I worked with my husband in woodworking for quite a while.
And he was doing art woodworking
He
or
was-
furniture or
It was doing
carpentry?
custom fine art, woodwork, furniture,
Okay.
carved mantles.
Yeah, okay.
And as he moved into carving, it became more of a one-person job. And at that point is when I was wondering, what am I going to do? So I
Yeah.
went to Cabrillo College, and I studied
Cool.
welding.
Yeah, nice.
And I studied jewelry. And I fell in love with jewelry making.
Yeah.
And did that for about 7 years.
Yeah.
Until it started morphing into sculpture,
Growing.
and morphing into different materials. So I wasn't limited by silver and gold and precious gemstones.
Yeah.
And it was so freeing.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
really excited, and the first thing I made that came out of that was a fork, knife, and spoon made out of seed pods that had spikes on them, and then it was called Overeaters Anonymous Eating Utensils.
Yeah.
But it was so freeing, and I got so immensely excited.
Yeah.
And it just took me off into this different road.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So then, and I imagine then through that, like being at Cabrillo, starting to show in gallery, like you started to build a network. I mean, you're pretty involved in the creative community in the Santa Cruz area. Would you say?
Yes,
and even
I
up here
am.
And even in San Jose too. I mean, you have some connection.
I
lot
do
of
have a
connection.
few fingers out
you
over
do.
here.
Yeah. So because that has probably then led to, tell me then well, how did you meet Tina Brown? Then you guys started doing, so how you got involved somehow in fashion.
Yeah, well, we did the art party things together
Okay.
in the beginning, remember?
Was that the first part? Is that
yeah,
the beginning? You were just like moving
Well,
into that area in the beginning?
I had been with Fashion Art Santa Cruz
Okay.
for a number of years.
And that was because of the kind of like the jewelry aspect and the making the wearable?
Yeah, I
types of-
started.
and
I
that-
started making wearable pieces
Yeah.
because I started Fashion Art Santa Cruz with Angelo Grova, who had a gallery in Santa Cruz, and we were doing fashion shows at the Civic Auditorium, and did that for almost 10 years with him.
Yeah, okay.
Before Tina and I branched off and started Pivot, the art
Yeah.
of fashion.
Yeah.
And so we worked with Ann and Mark's art party over
Yeah.
here and
Yeah.
had fashion shows during the art party.
Yeah.
And then when we evolved into Pivot, we were doing
At the
fashion
Rio.
shows, and then at the Rio, and different locations
Yeah.
around
And started doing
San
stuff
Francisco.
with high school students as well, right? To help Was that kind of
Middle school and high school
Middle school, yeah.
students. That was a program called Fashion Teens, and it was actually started by Kathleen Crocetti, who was part of Fashion Art Santa Cruz, and she was a middle school teacher. So it was a program that we opened up to middle school and high school students throughout Santa Cruz County, where they could take primarily trash and turn it into garments. And the best ones were always the ones that made some kind of statement, that were telling a story. But we would have hundreds, sometimes 300 young people, and we would do this at the Civic Auditorium, and then later at the Rio Theater, and where these kids would come out in these incredible creations that they made out of trash, and walk down the runway, and sometimes they were absolutely hyperventilatingly terrified before they would step out on stage, and they'd go out on stage during rehearsal and their bodies frozen, they can barely move. And then when it came time for the performance, these kids would walk out, and all of a sudden it was like someone took the leash off. They were totally free and excited, and they're working the runway, and they're waving to their parents and their friends.
Yeah, the energy of that was always great.
It was such an amazing program. And
So
then that's another fashion element.
So then that was the fashion connection. And now what I kind of wanted to ask you this question, because we're going to get, you're going to be helping organize the Ripple Effect Arts Festival.
Yes.
Now, before we get into what that is exactly, I kind of want to ask you, how have you seen the different things that you've done in the past lead to kind of the inspiration of this particular festival?
You know, it like most things that we end up doing in our lives, one thing builds on another. And I worked at Cabrillo College at the Cabrillo Gallery for nearly 20 years, and through there I was able to do things that brought either the community in to create larger events than just an exhibition at the gallery, but extend it beyond into something, and or to work with different departments of the college and bring them together. So in a way, kind of these mini festivals that were campus centered. And then when I got involved with Fashion Art Santa Cruz and later with Pivot, you know, those were big community organized events that brought people together and were always a lot of fun, which if it weren't fun, why do it, right? So these were a lot of fun in the community, that you got to work with the artists, the designers, the models, the people. You know, that encourages you to keep going. And so it came about that the city of Santa Cruz was offering these grants to help build economic recovery after the pandemic. And I had written a grant for a festival that I was envisioning taking place at the Tannery Arts Center in Santa Cruz that would bring together arts, theater, dance, music, but in a weekend, in a way where people could not just like go and look at things, but actually be taught how to do samba, how to sing opera, how to pull a print in printmaking. So to have these hands-on experiences, which I think is really very enriching. If you can do that, then you fall in love with certain processes and you want to do more. And so I had gotten that grant, and then circumstances came up where I couldn't do it in the year that I thought we would be doing it. So the city held on to this money for me. That was a substantial chunk of money. And then over dinner and drinks, talking with friends, and we're talking about all these great things that are happening in Santa Cruz. You know, this gallery is doing that, and did you hear so-and-so's doing that?
Yeah.
And over dinner it was like, why isn't Santa Cruz an arts destination? We should do something about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And then you picked the banner up? Yeah. Yeah.
it was a little bit like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I contacted the city, and the city said, Rose, we've been holding this money for you. And so that helped get us going. We brought together arts organizations, and we had a number of meetings, like how can we envision this? How can we make it work? How can we bring the entire county together?
Yeah.
And, so seeds were starting to grow. We brought together performing arts, and we had these similar conversations, and the seeds are growing bigger.
Yeah.
Until eventually it morphed into the Ripple Effect Arts Festival,
Yeah.
which is essentially taking all the great things that is happening in Santa Cruz and bringing everyone together during this particular period of time to showcase what they're doing.
Yeah.
So we have Santa Cruz Shakespeare, which doesn't normally do something in April 16th through 26th.
Yeah.
And they're doing a show. The Cabrillo Festival of Contemporary Music doesn't normally do something in April, but they're doing something at the Coombewood Jazz Center during that time.
Yeah.
And the lists go on and on. We have over 80 organizations involved. We've got maybe 150 events that are happening during this 11-day period.
Yeah.
That some of them are collaborations with everyone from UCSC down to Watsonville and Lowriders and Ballet Folklorico.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
all throughout the county is being ignited and excited about what's coming up in the arts.
So now, are you kind of like the point person for this? You're the main ringleader, kind of like.
Well,
I mean, you have a team, but.
We've got a great team, and everybody's volunteers.
Yeah.
So we have, and I'm the fundraiser.
Kind of the main producer of it, or something like that. And
Well, along with a great core team.
yeah.
Because
Who's some of the people on the core team, and what?
Chanel Enriquez who's the executive director of the Coombewood Jazz Center. Riley Nicholson, who's the executive director of the Cabrillo Music Festival. Valeria Miranda, who is the director of the Cessna Gallery at UCSC. Ginger Porcella, who's the director of the MA next door to us, the Museum of Art and History. Who else? Christy Jarvis, who's the director of Minnow Arts Gallery. We have so many people, who believe in this, who believe in the vision, who believe in bringing us all together, and the benefits that it can have for the community.
Yeah.
So it's really an altruistic, intensive project.
Community building, showcasing the arts, and
and
then of course the name. Did you come up with the title of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good, right? And then there's intentionality in that, right? The ripple effect. I mean, obviously, you want this weekend. I guess the 16th through the 26th of April 2026. You want you're seeing this as to have lasting effect and long-term and implications and influence.
and something we hope to do year after year.
Yeah.
Also, by doing this, we hope to bring more attention to the arts.
Yeah.
To bring more audiences in.
Yeah.
To support artists and arts organizations who support the artists. So there's all different ways that it ripples out, and that we hope that if you show up at the MA, the Museum of Art and History, and you happen to see a quartet and an opera singer, that maybe you'll fall in love with opera, and you had no idea that you could love something so much. So you go to the Tannery Arts Center during Tannery Night, and you make a bracelet by the that's promoted by the Monterey Bay Metal Arts Guild, and you find out you love jewelry.
Yeah.
And you take classes, and then you become a jeweler.
Yeah.
So bringing attention to the arts, excitement, bringing in new audiences, all those things.
So then for you, maybe this is kind of, you've already kind of addressed this, but I just want to ask it maybe on April 27th, when you're exhausted, what will make you wake up at 3 o'clock and say, yes, that was successful? What would be something that would make you think like, yeah, that was a successful time?
Well, I'm hoping to go to as many events as I can.
Yeah.
Because I do want to be there. I want to experience what's happening, and I'm anticipating a lot of excitement around it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's happening, the very first thing is Dancing in the Streets, which is an amazing event put on by Motion Pacific and Santa Cruz Dance Week. And they take over downtown, and they have dance floors laid out in the middle of the street, and different types of dances, everything from children doing ballet folklorico to ballerinas to salsa dancers to samba dancers. It's an amazing event, and that's kind of our kickoff.
Yeah, cool.
It starts that, but at the Kumba Jazz Center we have the Santa Cruz Youth Poet Laureates. So if you aren't interested in dance, you could go listen to poetry.
Yeah.
There's, it's going to be tough because you might have to choose from one thing to another on a certain evening or day.
Yeah. So then, so I guess for you I would think like the great thing would be on the 27th, there's people saying like, hey, let's do this again. Right? Yeah. Sorry. I'm telling you
that might happen on the 28th.
Yeah, people
they might need a day to go.
Yeah, there usually is that little time period like, that was crazy. Why did we do that? No, I think that's usually when you're setting up. Right? When you're taking down, it's usually the excitement. That was really good. Did you talk to that? Yeah, that's good.
It's the excitement, and I think that's what feeds our souls and keeps us going and doing these crazy projects.
Yeah.
Because we've been working on this for 2 years, and it's a massive amount of coordination to bring everyone together and just get their information.
Sure.
And they're making plans, they're doing these things, but they can't
closures,
always.
And then you got to work with the city, which Santa Cruz is sure is easy.
Santa
to work
Cruz, is great, and the county's been great. Everyone is chipping in, and we have huge support from the city and the Arts Council and the Community Foundation, and sponsors big and small.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good. So then for your own personal art practice during this time, this is your art practice, right? This community kind of...
Yeah.
And I guess that's the trajectory kind of we were talking about, right? When you were doing those fashion shows and doing you saw and at Cabrillo and bringing the exhibitions out. So do you think in some ways you've kind of, would you say, if you were going to say like I'm a sculpturist and maybe in addition, would you say you're a curator or a community builder, would you say? Or what would you be like another title hat you would give yourself, function that you're doing?
I like the title cultivator.
No, that's mine. You can take. I'm retired, so you can take it. No, So you kind of like have moved into this role.
I do like. Well, I do curate at MK Contemporary Art along with my partner Melissa Kreisa, and I love doing that. It's visual and it's juicy and yummy to bring artwork together and see it fit in an exhibition where you come in and say, wow, this looks good. But the other side is that community building, which when I was doing jewelry and I was like nose into working on some setting stones or something, I miss community during that time. UPS guy would come to the door and I'd want him to come in and I'll bake you cookies. Just sit down. Stay with me. So collaboration, I think, is one of the greatest gifts.
Yeah.
And brainstorming, listening to others, morphing ideas, developing things.
Yeah.
It's something I truly love, is the excitement when you start going, but what if we did this? Oh, and then we could do, and what about,
Yeah.
all those conversations. They're
Yeah.
the juiciest, yummiest tidbits, and that's where the seeds grow.
Yeah.
And then you put your heart and your energy into making it happen. And sometimes that's a lot of work, but the gift then is when it comes together and you can go, wow,
Yeah.
that worked.
Yeah, that's cool, exciting. So is there anything else you want to talk about the Ripple Effects Arts Festival? Anything in particular? 16th through 26th, any other, I mean, you brought all your papers, I don't want you not to use them, even you. Anything that...
There's a few things I'd love to tell you about.
Yeah.
So the website is rippleartsfestsantacruz.org.
Okay.
And you can find the events on there. They're still evolving and new ones are getting listed all the time. People are approaching us and saying, hey, I heard about this.
Yeah.
I got to be part of it. So go to the website, check it out, and come to Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
That part of our goal is to bring new people in, and we'd love to have you come.
Yeah, of course I'm going to be there, yeah.
Yay, good.
At least one of the nights, I don't know, 16, I don't know if I'll be there the whole 10 days.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll find you a hotel.
Yeah. I actually have another event in San Francisco on one of the days.
Oh, don't talk about that. There are no other days. There are no other events.
But I will be there for some of it because I want to partake in it. So yeah, so what, is there other stuff? Lou Harris on the 18th. I mean, anything else?
Emmy Lou, you're reading upside down. Yeah, Emmy Lou Harris is coming on the 18th. Photographer Franz Lantin, you might be familiar with him. He's a nature photographer. Okay. If you ever see like the whale tails, and that's a beautiful photo. They're all over our buses in Santa Cruz. Those are Franz Lantin.
Okay.
He's a world-famous nature photographer, goes to Antarctica, all over the world. And he is doing he's opening his studio on the 18th, but he's also doing a photo shoot with dancers from Motion Pacific Dance at dawn on West Cliff in Santa Cruz.
Oh, okay.
And so that's going to be kind of a magnificent sunrise event with dancers and surfers in the water.
Yeah.
And
people can come and kind of watch how a photo shoot takes place.
They can take photos.
And they can take pictures too.
Yeah, and Franz will be there. I think he does want you to register.
Sure, it could be
so
kind of
he knows if he's having 500 people or 80 people.
Yeah.
But that should be a pretty fun event.
That's
so
cool,
that one's exciting. Watsonville has recently been designated a cultural arts district.
Oh, okay.
By the state of California.
Okay.
And so Watsonville is teaming together to have their own mini Ripple Effects festival called Ripple Watsonville.
Oh, cool.
And there's some incredible things happening in the Watsonville area. Besides, there's lowriders, which are fan-friggin-tabulous, and the family connections with all these lowriders are really amazing. They're beautiful people. But there's also this giant parking garage, okay? San Jose, think about this enormous, I think it's 5-story parking garage that has been virtually covered with mosaics by a group called Watsonville Brillante.
Oh, okay.
And they are telling stories on covering this giant parking garage, primarily with the images of Juan Fuentes, who's a local print artist, but it's magnificent.
Yeah,
it's,
cool.
It's
Awesome.
it's like going and seeing Notre Dame or something on a Watsonville scale.
Yeah, and then is MK Contemporary going to have a special exhibition during this time, or?
Yes, we
Oh,
are.
yeah? What is it? What is it?
So MK Contemporary Art, we're having we're having 2 exhibits. One is with Michael Garlington, who is a photographer who prints these giant black and white photographs, and he might then cut them up and collage them and create sculptural pieces with them. And he's done quite a few Burning Man, 4-story high sculptures covered with these photographs that are a little bit Gothic and layered, and so they're giant temples that then get burned down at Burning Man. And he's been at the Smithsonian and numbers of other places. He's going to build an interior for us with his work. So we're very excited about Michael Garlington.
When is that going up? And
that's
going to be like the 16th?
That's going to open April 3rd. April 3rd.
For like First Friday?
For First Friday
and be up,
in Santa Cruz. And it'll be up for 2 months.
Yeah, wow. That's cool.
And the second half of our gallery is an eclectic mix. The exhibition is called Rochambeau, and it includes photographer Franz Lanting, Anne Skonberg, who's a local San Jose artist, photographer.
She's Anne from Anne and Art Party.
Anne from Anne and Mark's Art Party. That's right.
Yeah,
so
cool, good.
We're really excited to have Anne's work because it's mysterious, it's alluring, it's beautiful. We have another photographer, Sarah Friedlander, who takes photographs and then paints past the photograph. So it may have a small photograph in some portion of the canvas, but then she's painted out this world beyond the photograph.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, lowriders, murals, photography, painting, sculptural photography. Like, it's going to be awesome. Yeah. For you, is there anything that you're reading right now that's kind of like inspiring you? Is there anything that's like on your, or you're just working on this? You're reading.
I'm reading spreadsheets.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's
Endless
fair.
spreadsheets.
Yeah. Is there in your life a book that you've read that has really kind of like sparked your thinking and formed you in a way?
That would be it.
No, that's fine. I mean,
yeah.
I just threw the question at you without you. We should have prepared you, maybe. No, I like to catch people out there.
You did catch me off guard because I immediately start going to Charlotte Bronte and and books like Pride and Prejudice because
Sure.
In my own personal work, I do like the human connection and some of those great books, Dickens and they have such great, wonderful character development and the foibles of humanity. Those things, I think, the foibles of humanity, our relationship to one another, those are the things that stir me and inspire some of the things I do.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Good. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for spearheading the Ripple Effects Arts Festival. I mean,
I'm one of many.
Yeah, but I mean, you were the one at the dinner and said,
I said, okay.
Yeah, it's so awesome. That's great. So thank you for that. I'm looking forward to that. And thank you for your friendship through the years and working together.
Oh,
It's so good to see. Thanks for coming down here on St. Patrick's Day. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, with the convention that's going on. This is a wild time here in San Jose.
Yeah. So then Ripple Arts Santa Cruz? Ripple Arts Fest Santa Cruz. What's the website again?
RippleArtsFestSantaCruz.org.
Boom. Check it out. April 16th through 26th. And thank you, Rose, for being here today.
Thank you, Daniel. Such a pleasure.
Good to see you.
Thank you for listening to the Content Magazine podcast. Follow us on social media at Content Mag. Become a member and help us to continue to tell the stories of the South Bay creatives. This episode's music is 408 by Jack Pavlina. Follow him on Spotify and also on his Instagram at Jack Pavlina Music.